The ancient secret to manifestation. Hermetic principles explained. Close your eyes for a moment and truly imagine this. A life where your most profound aspirations, those deep-seated yearnings you sometimes dismiss as just dreams, aren't just whispers in your mind, but solid blueprints. Imagine possessing a map, an ancient code that allowed you to actively sculpt your reality, bringing those blueprints vividly into existence. What if the universe weren't a chaotic, indifferent place, but an exquisitely ordered system, and you held the instruction manual? This isn't a fantasy. This isn't just wishful thinking. Throughout the annals of human history, there have always been individuals who seem to operate with an almost magical ability to turn their visions into solid facts. Think about the great architects who could hold an entire city in their mind's eye before the first stone was ever laid. Consider the revolutionary inventors like Leonardo da Vinci, whose notebooks were filled with detailed schematics for flying machines and intricate mechanisms centuries before technology caught up. He didn't just think of them, he knew them, he held them with such clarity that they seemed to be waiting for him to reveal them to the world. Or reflect on the influential philosophers and spiritual leaders whose ideas, born purely of thought, ignited movements, reshaped societies, and changed the course of human consciousness. These aren't just stories of genius or serendipity. These individuals, whether they knew it explicitly or simply operated on an intuitive level, were tapping into something deeper. They were accessing a hidden science, an underlying truth about how creation actually works. They weren't just dreamers, they were active participants in shaping their world. They understood, perhaps without consciously naming them, the universal laws that govern manifestation. Today, manifestation is a popular buzzword. You see it everywhere. Quick tips, surface-level affirmations, simple visualizations. And while those practices have their place, they often miss the profound, foundational understanding that makes them truly powerful. It's like having a beautiful car, but never looking under the hood to understand the engine. Without that deeper comprehension, you might drive for a bit, but you won't truly master the journey or fix it when it stalls. In this video, we're doing more than just scratching the surface of manifestation. We're going on an expedition to its very source, unearthing its ancient roots and following its lineage back through the mists of time. Our guide on this adventure is the legendary figure known as Hermes Trismegistus and the profound yet often misunderstood teachings of Hermetism. Specifically, we'll be exploring a concise, powerful text that distills this ancient wisdom, the Kybalion. We're going to pull back the curtain on what many consider to be the actual operating system of reality. Forget superficial techniques for a moment. We're talking about the universal laws that underpin everything, from the smallest atom to the grandest galaxy, from your fleeting thoughts to your most enduring achievements. By grasping these fundamental principles, you'll gain the true knowledge to consciously create your life, not just passively hope for things to happen. This isn't about just wishing, it's about becoming a deliberate co-creator. So what exactly will you gain from this exploration? We'll start by uncovering the fascinating origins of Hermetic thought, understanding the context from which this incredible wisdom emerged. Then, we'll systematically break down the 7 Hermetic principles as presented in the Kybalion, explaining each one in clear, practical terms. You'll see exactly how these principles are, in essence, the real laws of attraction, but on a far more profound and comprehensive level than you might have encountered before. And most importantly, we'll provide you with tangible, practical exercises, steps you can take today to integrate this timeless wisdom into your modern life for real, undeniable transformation and tangible manifestation. If you're ready to tap into a power that has shaped civilizations, illuminated the path for countless seekers, and holds the ultimate key to shaping your own destiny, then join me. If this resonates with you, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more insights into ancient wisdom and conscious living, and make sure you hit that notification bell. Let's start this incredible journey together.
The mystery of Hermes and the birth of Hermeticism. Before we open the cover of the Kybalion and truly grasp its power, we need to meet the figure whose wisdom it celebrates, the legendary source of these profound insights, Hermes Trismegistus. His name alone whispers of ancient secrets, of knowledge passed down through generations of initiates. But who exactly was this thrice great Hermes? Picture, if you will, the bustling, sun-drenched streets of ancient Alexandria, home to the greatest library the world had ever known. Within its hallowed halls, and in the quiet academies surrounding it, countless scrolls filled with esoteric knowledge were carefully guarded, studied, and debated. At the very heart of this ancient wisdom, this deep well of understanding, lies a figure often shrouded in myth and profound reverence, Hermes Trismegistus. Thrice great Hermes? This isn't a person you'd find in a modern history book with a clear birth date and a linear biography. Instead, Hermes Trismegistus is more like a mythical title, an embodiment of divine intelligence, a representation of an entire lineage of incredibly wise sages whose teachings coalesced into a philosophy so profound, so enduring, that its influence would echo through millennia, shaping civilizations and individual lives. He was perceived not just as a man, but as a universal teacher, a grand architect of spiritual science. His story weaves together 2 mighty ancient cultures. In ancient Egypt, the original fount of much mystical knowledge, this supreme wisdom was attributed to Thoth, the god of writing, magic, and intellectual pursuits. Thoth was believed to have revealed the very laws of the cosmos to humanity. Later, when the Greeks arrived and encountered these Egyptian traditions, they naturally saw their own god, Hermes, reflected in Thoth. Their Hermes was the messenger of the gods, the divine communicator, the psychopomp who guided souls, and the patron of eloquence, invention, and intellectual understanding. So the title, Hermes Trismegistus, became a powerful fusion, a symbol of the ultimate sage, the master of all knowledge, from the secrets of the stars, astrology, to the inner workings of matter, alchemy, and even to the art of communicating with divine entities, the theurgy. These teachings weren't crafted for the general public. This was never a popular faith or a widespread public doctrine. Instead, it was an esoteric tradition, knowledge that was carefully passed down, often in secret, from master to dedicated student. Think of it as a spiritual university operating quietly in the background of history, diligently preserving profound insights into the universe's fundamental workings, ensuring they weren't lost to the shifting tides of empires and beliefs. This remarkable system of thought, born from this mystical synthesis, became known simply as Hermetism. It isn't a religion in the conventional sense, with specific rituals and a central dogma. Instead, it's a sophisticated philosophy, a spiritual science that weaves together the threads of ancient Egyptian spiritual beliefs, the deep philosophical insights of the Greeks, particularly Platonism and Stoicism, and even elements of early Jewish mysticism. At its core, Hermeticism put forth some truly groundbreaking ideas for its time, ideas that still resonate with incredible power today. It posited a fundamental truth, that everything in the universe is interconnected, that humanity itself contains a divine spark, and that all of existence operates according to hidden, immutable laws. The profound insight was that by understanding and aligning ourselves with these laws, we could not only comprehend the cosmos, but also actively participate in its creative process. It suggested that we are not just passengers in life, but conscious co-creators. As the voiceover succinctly puts it, Hermeticism isn't a religion in the typical sense. It's a philosophy, a spiritual science that posits a fundamental truth. The universe operates according to immutable laws, and by understanding these laws, we can align ourselves with creation itself. For many centuries, particularly during Europe's Dark Ages, Hermetic texts largely vanished from common knowledge in the Western world. They lay dormant, their profound insights waiting. Then miraculously, during the Renaissance, that incredible period of rebirth and rediscovery, these ancient writings, notably the Corpus Hermeticum, were rediscovered and translated. This sparked an intellectual and spiritual explosion. Scholars like Marsilio Ficino and the controversial Giordano Bruno eagerly absorbed these texts, and their ideas profoundly influenced the scientific revolution, philosophy, and mystical thought that followed. Alchemy, which the Hermetists saw as a spiritual transformation as much as a physical one, was a direct precursor to modern chemistry, demonstrating how these ancient philosophies laid groundwork for future scientific inquiry. As our voiceover noted, through the Dark Ages, Hermetic texts lay hidden until their rediscovery during the Renaissance ignited a fervor for ancient wisdom, influencing everyone from alchemists to artists, shaping the very trajectory of Western thought. This brings us to a pivotal moment in the more recent past. In 1908, a concise and powerful book, simply titled The Kybalion, emerged onto the scene. It was published by anonymous authors who referred to themselves only as the Three Initiates. The exact identity of these authors remains a subject of ongoing discussion and speculation, adding another layer of intrigue to the story. But what's absolutely undeniable is the book's clarity and profound impact. The Kybalion claimed to be a direct distillation of the core ancient Hermetic axioms, the fundamental truths that Hermes Trismegistus himself taught. The purpose of the Kybalion was clear: to take the vast, complex body of Hermetic philosophy and distill its essence into 7 understandable, accessible principles. It aimed to make this timeless wisdom available to a broader audience, equipping anyone with the key to understanding the very fabric of reality. As our voiceover states, and then in 1908, a book emerged simply titled The Kybalion, attributed to the Three Initiates. Its authors remain anonymous, its origins debated, but its impact undeniable. It claimed to be a distillation of Hermetic axioms, a key to understanding the very fabric of reality that Hermes himself taught. This wasn't just another philosophical treatise. It was presented as a practical guide, an operating manual for the universe itself. And it's these 7 profound principles that we're about to unpack, one by one, to show you how they offer a complete, ancient understanding of manifestation.
The 7 Hermetic Principles. Now we arrive at the very heart of Hermetic wisdom, the true essence of the Kybalion, the 7 Hermetic Principles. These aren't just abstract ideas. They are the fundamental laws that govern our universe, our consciousness, and ultimately our ability to create our reality. Think of them as the operating manual for existence itself. Understanding them won't just change what you manifest, it will change how you see the world and your place within it.
Let's break them down one by one. 1. The principle of mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. This is the bedrock, the absolute first principle, and it's perhaps the most profound. It simply states that all reality originates from mind. Not just our individual minds, though they are certainly part of it, but from a vast, infinite, all-encompassing universal mind, what some call God, consciousness, the all or source. Everything we perceive, everything that exists, every star, every galaxy, every atom, every thought you've ever had, is essentially a thought within this universal mind. Imagine the entire cosmos, the vast emptiness of space, the swirling nebulae, the complex ecosystems on Earth, the very substance of your body, as a gigantic living thought process. This isn't just a poetic idea, it's a fundamental statement about the nature of existence. This universal mind isn't just a thinker, it is thought, and everything else springs from it. Modern physics, surprisingly, seems to nod in agreement with this ancient wisdom. Concepts like quantum field theory suggest that below the surface of what we perceive as solid matter, there's an invisible field of energy and information, constantly in flux. The observer effect in quantum mechanics hints that the act of observation itself can influence reality, almost as if consciousness plays a role in solidifying potential into actuality. Eastern philosophies like the Advaita Vedanta tradition have spoken for millennia about Maya, the idea that the world as we perceive it is an illusion, a magnificent play of consciousness, not ultimately separate from the divine. Our individual minds, then, are like miniature fractal reflections of this grand universal mind, each capable of creating within its own sphere. Here's how this changes everything for manifestation. If the universe is mental, then your thoughts are not just passive internal chatter. They are active, potent components of creation. You're not just thinking about reality, you are, quite literally, thinking it into being. Your thoughts aren't isolated little bubbles. They are part of the all's grand, unfolding thought. This principle is the absolute foundation for all conscious creation. What you hold in your mind, consistently and with conviction, is being impressed upon the universal mind, which then has no choice but to reflect it back to you in your outer world. Practical exercise. The mental blueprint, visualization. To really engage with mentalism, let's create a mental blueprint. Find a quiet spot where you won't be disturbed. Take a few deep breaths to settle yourself. Now, clearly define one specific desire you want to bring into your life. Don't just name it, define it with as much detail as possible. Then spend 5 to 10 minutes visualizing it as already done. See it, feel it, hear it, taste it. Engage all 5 of your senses in this imagined reality. If it's a new job, imagine the office, the colleagues, the feeling of accomplishment. If it's a relationship, feel the warmth, the connection, the joy. Allow yourself to feel the emotions that would come with having this desire fully manifest. As you do this, understand that you are not just daydreaming. You are actively impressing this detailed blueprint onto the universal mind, setting the stage for its creation. Consider the visionary genius of Nikola Tesla. He famously claimed that he didn't need to build prototypes for his inventions. He could construct them entirely in his mind, test them, run them for weeks, note any wear and tear, and only then commit the perfect, fully realized design to paper. He held a clear, detailed mental image, a complete blueprint, long before it materialized in the physical world. He instinctively understood the principle of mentalism. 2. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below, as below, so above. This principle is a beautiful and profound insight into the interconnectedness of everything. It tells us that there's a constant, unbreakable agreement, a mirror-like relation, between all the different planes of existence. The patterns, the laws, the dynamics that play out on one level are always reflected in others. The microcosm, the small individual part, reflects the macrocosm, the large universal whole. Think about it. The laws of physics that govern a falling apple on Earth are the same laws that dictate the movements of celestial bodies in distant galaxies. The structure of an atom, with its nucleus and electrons, beautifully mirrors the structure of a solar system with a sun and orbiting planets. This isn't a coincidence. It's a fundamental design principle of the universe. The Kybalion speaks of 3 great planes of being. At the great physical plane, this is our material world, everything we can touch, see, hear, taste, and smell. At the great mental plane, this is the realm of thoughts, ideas, emotions, beliefs, and intentions. At the great spiritual plane, this is the plane of pure consciousness, the divine essence that underlies everything. The principle of correspondence teaches us that what happens on the mental plane corresponds to what manifests on the physical plane. Your inner world, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotional state, directly corresponds to your outer world, your experiences, your circumstances, the people and situations you attract. For manifestation, this principle is crucial. If you want to change your outer reality, you absolutely must first shift your inner reality. Your physical circumstances are not random events. They are a direct and accurate correspondence of your dominant mental and emotional states. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are on the inside, what you consistently hold as your inner landscape. If you want a garden of roses, you must plant rose seeds, not weeds. Practical exercise, the inner mirror reflection. Take an area of your life where you want to see change. Maybe your financial situation, your relationships, or your health. Now ask yourself, what is my dominant internal state, my thoughts, my feelings, my core beliefs regarding this specific area? Be honest. Do you constantly worry about money? Do you believe good relationships are hard to find? Do you secretly feel unworthy of good health? Journal about how your current external reality directly corresponds to these inner patterns. Then, consciously begin to shift your inner state. If you want abundance, start cultivating feelings of gratitude for what you do have, no matter how small. Imagine yourself already financially secure. If you want a loving relationship, feel love for yourself and those around you now. By changing the inner correspondence, you set the stage for the outer change. Ancient cosmological models often depicted a world tree or a cosmic mountain, like the Norse Yggdrasil, whose roots reached into the underworld and whose branches touched the heavens. These myths weren't just stories, they were attempts to illustrate the principle of correspondence. That the celestial mirrored the earthly, the divine reflected the human, and the laws governing one plane echoed in another. Our destiny was often seen as linked to the movements of the planets, because ancient wisdom understood, as above, so below. 3. The principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This principle takes us right to the heart of modern physics and ancient spiritual understanding. It declares a fundamental truth. Absolutely everything in the universe is in a constant state of motion. Nothing is truly still. Everything moves, everything vibrates. The only real difference between what we perceive as solid matter, flowing energy, elusive thought, and pure spirit is its unique rate of vibration. Think for a moment. Tap your finger on your desk. It feels undeniably solid, right? But if you could zoom in past the surface, past the cells, all the way to the atomic and subatomic levels, you would see a furious dance. Atoms are not solid little balls. They are mostly empty space with electrons zipping around nuclei at incredible speeds. Everything is literally vibrating. Sound is vibration, light is vibration, heat is vibration. Your emotions are vibrations, your thoughts are vibrations, and even the chair you're sitting on is a very dense, slow vibration. This understanding allows us to differentiate between various manifestations. Higher vibrations are often associated with states like love, joy, peace, gratitude, and expansive creativity. Lower vibrations tend to manifest as fear, anger, resentment, scarcity, and contraction. For manifestation, this principle is paramount. It's the core of the popular, like attracts like, idea. Simply put, similar vibrations attract each other. If you want to manifest a desired reality, you must consciously raise and align your own vibrational frequency to match that of your desire. The law of attraction isn't some mystical, arbitrary force. It's a direct, scientific consequence of the principle of vibration. You become a living magnet for what you resonate with. Practical exercise, vibrational alignment, through emotion. Choose one desired outcome you're working to manifest. Now, identify the specific feeling or emotional state you would experience if that outcome were already a reality: deep joy, profound peace, unwavering security, expansive love, thrilling excitement. Then, for several minutes each day, consciously engage in activities that help you generate and sustain that elevated emotional state. Listen to uplifting music that makes your soul sing. Practice heartfelt gratitude for everything you already have. Recall past moments of genuine happiness and allow yourself to relive those feelings. Engage in hobbies or conversations that bring you true joy. By deliberately shifting and maintaining this higher emotional frequency, you begin to align your entire being with the vibration of your desired manifestation, drawing it closer to you. Ancient cultures understood the power of vibration long before modern science. From the ancient Vedic chants and mantras of India to the rhythmic drumming of indigenous tribes, sound was recognized not just as noise, but as a potent force that could influence matter and consciousness. The study of cymatics, which shows how sound vibrations create intricate geometric patterns in matter, visually demonstrates this principle. Our ancestors intuitively knew that certain sounds, certain frequencies, could heal, transform, and even call forth creation. 4. The principle of polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. This principle reveals a profound truth about the nature of all manifested things. Everything has two sides, two aspects, two poles. What we often perceive as opposites are actually just different degrees of the exact same thing. Think about hot and cold. They seem completely opposite, don't they? Yet, they are simply varying points on the continuous scale of temperature. There's no absolute cold, only less heat. The same goes for love and hate. They're two poles on the same spectrum of emotion. Light and dark are just gradations of luminosity. This principle teaches us that the distinction between qualities isn't absolute. It's a matter of degree. Everything exists on a scale. There's no definitive point where good ends and evil begins. They are simply different vibrations on the same continuum of moral experience. This means the illusion of absolute good or evil, success or failure, is just that, an illusion. It also offers a powerful insight. Every challenge or problem we face contains inherently the seeds of its own solution. The two are inseparable, two sides of the same coin. For manifestation, this principle is incredibly empowering. It teaches you that you can literally transmute undesirable mental or emotional states into their positive counterparts. When you face a perceived lack in your life, understand that it's simply the other end of the abundance pole. You aren't stuck with one side, you have the power to shift your position on that scale. By consciously raising your vibration, as we just discussed with the principle of vibration, you are, in effect, moving yourself along the scale of polarity from a less desirable state to a more desirable one. You can't eliminate a pole, but you can change your experience of it. Practical exercise. Transmutation of polarity journaling. Identify a negative emotion or a perceived lack you're currently experiencing. Perhaps a feeling of being poor, unworthy, or lonely. Now recognize its opposite pole, abundant, worthy, or connected. In a journal, write about how the negative state you're experiencing is simply a lower degree, a lower vibration, of its positive counterpart. For instance, if you feel poor, consider how that feeling is just a low-frequency experience of abundance. Ask yourself, How can I mentally and emotionally shift my perception to begin moving towards the positive pole? You might write, this feeling of lack is merely a lower vibration of abundance. I can choose to focus on the abundance I do have, no matter how small, right now, and begin to consciously shift my frequency towards prosperity. It's about recognizing the illusion of absolute separation and choosing to engage with the higher end of the scale. One of the most beautiful and well-known examples of polarity is the ancient Chinese concept of yin and yang. This iconic symbol doesn't depict opposing forces in conflict, but rather two complementary and interdependent forces. The dark yin contains a spot of light and the light yang contains a spot of dark, illustrating that each extreme holds the seed of its opposite. They are not separate but part of a single, flowing whole, constantly shifting and balancing each other, showing how seemingly opposite forces are essential for dynamic existence. 5. The principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in, everything has its tides, all things rise and fall, a swinging pendulum manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. This principle speaks to the ceaseless movement of life, the natural ebb and flow that characterizes absolutely everything. It tells us that all things have their tides, their cycles. Everything rises and falls, advances and recedes, builds up and then dissipates only to build up again. Think of the day turning to night and back again, the changing seasons, the breathing in and out of your own body, the economic cycles of boom and bust, or even your own emotional fluctuations from high energy to low. This is the constant cosmic dance of rhythm. It's crucial to understand that a down swing is always followed by an up swing and vice versa. This isn't a punishment, it's just the natural order of things. The danger for us comes when we get completely caught up and identify too strongly with the extreme ends of this pendulum swing, especially the challenging down swings. To clarify, polarity defines the scale itself, hot to cold, while rhythm describes the movement along that scale, the constant heating and cooling. As our voiceover describes it, just as the ocean has its tides ebbing and flowing, so too does all of life. There are seasons of growth and seasons of rest. Moments of great joy and moments of profound challenge. This is the cosmic dance of rhythm, a perpetual swing of the pendulum that governs every aspect of existence. For manifestation, this principle offers immense comfort and resilience. It teaches us not to despair during a down swing in our journey. It's a natural, inevitable part of the cycle, and crucially, the up swing is just as inevitable. The key here is to learn how to neutralize the swing, not by stopping it, which is impossible, but by refusing to be dragged to its emotional extremes. Maintain your focus on your desired outcome, knowing that the rhythm will eventually bring it forth if you stay aligned and centered. Don't abandon your vision just because you hit a temporary low point. Practical exercise, the rhythmic observer meditation. Over the next few days, simply observe your own emotional or energetic rhythms. Notice when you feel a down swing, perhaps low energy, a negative mood, or things just not going your way. Acknowledge this feeling without judgment. Don't fight it. Instead, mentally affirm to yourself, this too shall pass. This is a natural rhythm. I choose to remain centered and aligned with my highest vision, knowing that the flow will return and the upward swing is on its way. The goal is not to resist the natural movement of the pendulum, but to become the calm, centered observer who understands the rhythm and doesn't get swept away by its extremes. This practice builds incredible emotional and spiritual resilience. Think of the Greek myth of Sisyphus, condemned to endlessly roll a boulder uphill, only for it to roll back down. While often portrayed as a torment, a Hermetic interpretation might see Sisyphus, once he truly understood the principle of rhythm, not as a victim, but as someone who could find a strange wisdom in the endless cycle of effort and retreat. Or more simply, consider the cycles of agricultural societies, the planting, the growth, the harvest, and the fallow period. Each phase is essential, and one cannot skip the down or rest phase and expect a fruitful up phase. 6. The principle of cause and effect. Kybalion quote, every cause has itis effect, every effect has itis cause, everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. This principle leaves no room for randomness. It states unequivocally that there is no such thing as mere chance. Every single event, every experience, every outcome in your life is an effect of a preceding cause. And, in turn, that effect becomes a cause for subsequent effects. This is a universal law as precise and unyielding as gravity. This is, in its essence, the law often referred to as karma. It's a system of perfect cosmic accountability. What you send out comes back. What you sow, you shall reap, not as a moral judgment or punishment, but as a precise, scientific outcome of the energies and intentions you set into motion. The Kybalion is clear. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. The really important part for us is understanding the levels of causation. Our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, which exist on the mental and emotional planes, are powerful causes. They produce effects that ripple out into our physical world. This means we are not helpless victims of fate or circumstances. Quite the opposite. We are incredibly active participants in creating our future through the causes we set into motion with our intentions, our thoughts, and our actions. As our voiceover reminds us, nothing happens by accident. Every single event, every experience, every thought you have, is a ripple in a vast ocean of cause and effect. It's the universe's ultimate accountability system. What you sow, you shall reap, not as a punishment, but as a precise, scientific outcome. For manifestation, this principle brings personal responsibility into sharp focus. Your desires manifest or fail to manifest as a direct effect of your mental causes, your dominant thoughts, your deeply held beliefs, your consistent emotions, and your aligned actions. If you're experiencing an unwanted effect in your life, this principle empowers you by telling you that you absolutely have the power to change the cause. You can shift your inner world and outer actions to generate a different, more desirable effect. Practical exercise, conscious causation audit. Identify an area in your life where you're currently experiencing an unwanted effect. Perhaps a pattern of always being broke, or repeatedly finding yourself in unfulfilling relationships. Now, take some time to genuinely trace back the mental and emotional causes you've been putting out. What has been your dominant self-talk? What limiting beliefs have you unconsciously held? What fear-based actions have you taken or avoided taking? Once you've identified these old causes, consciously decide to plant new, positive causes. This means deliberately shifting your thoughts, daily affirmations that counteract old beliefs, vivid visualization of your desired outcome, and crucially taking inspired action that aligns with the reality you want to create. For example, if you want more money, the cause might be cultivating a mindset of genuine abundance and gratitude for what you have, combined with inspired actions like learning a new skill, managing your resources wisely, or offering value to the world. The concept of karma in Eastern religions is a perfect illustration of cause and effect. It's not about divine retribution, but about the natural law that every action, thought, and word creates a corresponding reaction. A kind act generates positive consequences, while a harmful act generates negative ones. It's the universe's way of maintaining balance and teaching us through experience. Ancient proverbs like, "What goes around comes around," or "You reap what you sow," are simply folk wisdom expressions of this deep Hermetic truth. 7. The principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. Now, it's very important to clarify something right away. This principle has nothing to do with biological sex or societal gender roles. When Hermetic philosophy speaks of gender, it refers to the fundamental masculine and feminine principles that are inherent in all things, in creation itself, in every thought, in every energetic exchange. These are two complementary creative forces. Let's break down these principles. The masculine principle. This is the active, outgoing, projective force. It represents qualities like will, assertion, initiative, focus, logic, and the impulse to push forward. Think of it as the force that directs energy. It's the yang energy in Eastern traditions. The feminine principle. This is the receptive, ingoing, creative force. It embodies qualities like intuition, nurturing, allowing, wisdom, emotion, and the ability to hold space for creation. Think of it as the force that receives, that conceives and gives birth. It's the yin energy. Both principles are absolutely essential for any act of creation on any plane. An idea, which is often a receptive, feminine act of intuition, needs the focused will and action, the masculine, projective force, to be brought into being. You can't have one without the other for complete manifestation. They are not opposites in conflict, but partners in creation. As our voiceover describes, beyond biology, beyond societal roles, there exist two fundamental principles of creation, the masculine and the feminine. Not opposites, but complementary forces, like the active push and the receptive embrace. Every idea, every project, every living thing, is born from the interplay of these two energies. For powerful manifestation, understanding and engaging both principles is vital. The feminine aspect of manifestation involves clearly envisioning your desire, cultivating the feeling of already having it, and then truly allowing it to come to you, surrendering control, trusting the process, being open to intuitive guidance. This is the seed planting and nurturing phase. The masculine aspect involves focused intention, taking inspired, purposeful action, and asserting your will to bring that desire into concrete reality. This is the action, the cultivation, the building phase. You need the receptive capacity to conceive the desire, feminine, and the projective drive to bring it forth, masculine. One without the other is incomplete. Practical exercise, creative balance, integration. Take your current manifestation goal and honestly evaluate if you are leaning too heavily into one principle over the other. Are you only wishing, visualizing, and hoping, predominantly feminine, without taking any concrete, inspired action, masculine? Or are you constantly pushing, forcing, grinding, and trying to control every detail, predominantly masculine, without allowing for intuition, surrender, or a period of receptive waiting, feminine? Consciously practice balancing these two forces. Spend dedicated time visualizing and feeling your desire and commit to taking one small, inspired action daily that moves you toward it. Or, if you're an overdoer, practice taking action and then deliberately practice surrender and trust, knowing you've done your part and the universe will meet you halfway. This balance creates a powerful, unstoppable creative flow. Across ancient pantheons, divine couples often represented these complementary forces of creation. Think of Osiris and Isis in Egyptian mythology, Osiris representing the structured, active force, and Isis the nurturing, magical, life-giving force, together bringing about fertility and rebirth. Or the Hindu deities Shiva and Shakti, the static consciousness and the dynamic energy, forever in a dance of creation. Even the alchemical concept of the alchemical wedding symbolized the perfect union of seemingly opposite male and female elements to produce the philosopher's stone, a profound transformation and ultimate creation. These myths are not just stories, they are allegories for the universal principle of gender.
So, you've now walked through the 7 profound Hermetic principles. But what does this really mean for your day-to-day existence? How do you take this ancient, powerful wisdom and bring it into your modern life? It starts with a fundamental shift in perspective. As our voiceover highlighted, adopting Hermetic principles isn't just about manifesting a new car or a job. It's about fundamentally changing your relationship with reality. It's about recognizing the divine intelligence within you and seeing yourself not as a passenger, but as a conscious co-creator of your experience. This isn't just a philosophy you read, it's a way of being you embody. It's about waking up to the incredible power you hold. To truly become a modern Hermeticist, someone who lives by these laws, you can begin with a few simple yet powerful
daily practices. Cultivate mindfulness and self-awareness. Regularly observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. This engages the principle of mentalism and helps you recognize your current vibrational state, understanding that your internal world is always active. Practice reflective journaling. Take time to write about how your inner world, your beliefs, your feelings, your dominant thoughts consistently shows up in your outer experiences. This directly applies the principle of correspondence, helping you spot the links. Conscious emotional transmutation. When you notice a negative emotion or a feeling of lack, instead of dwelling on it, deliberately choose to shift your focus towards its positive counterpart. This is actively working with the principle of polarity to move up the scale of feeling. Embrace patience and persistence. Understand that life has its natural rhythms. Don't get discouraged during a downswing. Acknowledge it, stay centered, and trust that the upward movement is coming. This is living in harmony with the principle of rhythm. Practice intentional action. Every thought, every word, every action you take is a cause. Recognize their power. Make conscious choices that align with the effects you wish to see in your life, embodying the principle of cause and effect. Balance vision with action. Cultivate your clear inner vision of what you want, the feminine, receptive principle, but then commit to taking inspired, focused steps to bring it into being. The masculine, projective principle. This is the powerful dance of the principle of gender. Remember, this isn't a quick fix or a destination you suddenly arrive at. This is a lifelong path of mastery. It's a continuous process of learning, applying, observing, and refining your understanding of these universal laws. Each small step, each conscious choice builds your capacity to become a more deliberate and powerful co-creator of your reality. Embrace the process and watch your world transform. You are not merely a product of your environment. You are a painter of your reality, equipped with the brushstrokes of these ancient principles. Go forth, experiment, manifest, and transform. Which of these principles resonates most with you? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you found this deep dive inspiring, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe for more content on ancient wisdom and modern spirituality, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the mysteries of consciousness.